Hi, I'm Reverend Ira J. Ackery, the senior pastor of the Greater St. John Bible Church. Greater St. John is located on the northwest side of Chicago in the Austin community at 1256 North Waller Avenue. I pray that this service is a blessing to you. You will get a life-changing word, some incredible worship, and powerful prayer. Thank you so much for watching.
The righteous run to him and they are saved. Right here. We love to call your name. It's something we cannot explain. That happens when we proclaim your great name. Your great name. We love to call your name. It's something we cannot explain. That happens when we proclaim your great name. Your great name, King Jesus. No other name, King Jesus. Strong up, we call on. He changes when we call on. King Jesus. great name, your great name. We love to call your name. It's something we cannot explain. That happens when we proclaim your great name, your great name, PG. Jesus. Something about the name of Jesus. Victory is in the name of Jesus. Healing is in the name of Jesus. You can be free. Hey, you can be free. You can be free. Hey, you can be free. All of the name of Jesus. Oh. Something about the name Jesus. Something about the name Jesus. Hey, something about the name Jesus. Something about the name Jesus. Deliverance is in the name Jesus. It's at the name Jesus. I got my peace at the name Jesus. Oh, we will call your name.
Hey, it's Pastor Sean of the Greater St. John Bible Church. Pastor Ira J. Ackery is our senior pastor. Again, we thank you so much for joining us today in worship. And we just want to let you know that if you want to be a blessing to our ministry, if you're blessed by the worship experience today, feel free to sow into our ministry. Several ways to give here at Greater St. John. They're listed there on your screen. Also, if you want to connect with this church, you don't have a church home, or you want to become part of the body of Christ, hey, we'd love to welcome you into our family. We'd love to welcome you into our church family, as well as the body of baptized believers. We thank you again so much for watching. Let's jump right into the word.
Amen, amen, amen. Let's show Christina Jones some love. Amen, amen. Poured out of herself. Amen. On tonight. Amen. Taking us higher. Listen, it is now time for the word. And I'm not going to prolong the time. And I won't bore you too long. I know it's hump day. Amen. But there is a word to encourage you on tonight. Let's go to the Gospel of John, the 2nd chapter. We want to start at the first verse. Gospel of John, 2nd chapter, beginning at the first verse. And it reads, "And the third day there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus said unto him, They have no wine. Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. His mother said unto the servants, Whatsoever he said unto you, do it. And there were set 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. Jesus said unto them, Fill the water pots with water. And they filled them to the brim. And he said unto them, Draw out now, and bear unto the governor of the feast. And they bare it. When the ruler of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and knew not whence it was, but the servants which drew the water knew, the governor of the feast called the bridegroom, and said unto him, Every man at the beginning doth set forth good wine, and when men have well drunk, then that which is worse. But thou hast kept the good wine until now. My focus tonight is going to be on these water pots. And I know that sounds strange, but in verse 6 it says, And there were set there 6 water pots of stone, after the manner of the purifying of the Jews, containing 2 or 3 firkins apiece. And I just want to talk for just a few minutes from the topic, hold your spot. Hold your spot. Hold your spot. Tonight, I want to encourage some people who have been working, and it seems as if your work is unnoticed. It seems as if maybe they know it's you, but they won't give you the accolade. It seems as if right now you're tired, you're fed up, you're over it. You have told yourself a time or two that you're just not going to do it anymore. There's too much going on in the world right now for you to be stressing over some stuff, and this is just the some stuff you don't want to be stressing over. And so I came tonight to tell you to hold your spot. Don't move from where you are. Because as I look at this text, and when we often look at this text, we focus on Jesus, we focus on the miracle, and that's great. But these water pots spoke to me. And I want to share what they had to say, because I believe that some of us have more in common with these 6 water pots than we think. These 6 water pots, it just seems like they just 6 stone water pots just sitting there. But there is something to these water pots that I hope, that I pray is going to bless you tonight. When we look at these water pots, it says that they were just sitting there after the manner of the purifying of the Jews. They contain 2 or 3 firkins apiece. It tells us how much water they had in them. But there is something else in here that I want to share with you. And since I'm conserving time for tonight, I just want to get to the first thing I want to share with you. You can't give up your spot. You got to hold your spot because it's a setup. It's a setup. Now, when we find these water pots in verse number 6, these water pots, it says right in there that they are sitting there after the manner of the purifying of the Jews. Now, the Jews had a custom that they would wash their hands, their feet, and their dishes when they came to the host's house. And so this is what those water pots was doing. They was there. They was doing just like a lot of us. They were functioning in their purpose. They were functioning in their purpose. These water pots had water in them. People were washing their hands. They were washing their feet. They were washing their dishes in this water pot. And just like there are many of us who are functioning in our purpose, seemingly insignificant. People don't really pay attention to us until they need us. People they don't call you. They don't really check on you. And I know how it feels, but you can't come down from working. You can't come down, you can't lose your spot, because right now it feels a little bit uncomfortable, because now you feel like you're overlooked even though you're still doing what you're doing now, because nobody has ever thought to pat you on the back because you're doing what you're doing. But I want to share with you tonight, you got to be like these water pots. Just hold your spot. Hold your spot. Watch this. Even when we look at Jesus, we have to understand that he functioned in his promise. He functioned in his purpose, even when it was uncomfortable. When we see Jesus hanging on the cross, we find that, first of all, he prayed while he was on the cross. It was uncomfortable, but he prayed, and he prayed for the folk who had him on the cross. And then when we look at Jesus, he offered salvation to a thief who had a convicted heart. Jesus on the cross, he drank vinegar when he said, "I thirst," because it was in the scripture that he had to fulfill it. He fulfilled his purpose till the end. He did not come down. And I want to tell somebody that is functioning in your purpose tonight, no matter how you feel about what's going on, about what you think should be happening and what's not happening, don't come down. Don't come down. Stay with what you're doing. Stay with what you know you are purposed to do. Keep operating in your gift. When we look at our brother Joseph, when we read the story of Joseph, when we find Joseph was locked in the prison, but Joseph stayed with his purpose. When he was in the prison, he was still interpreting dreams. And so what we find here, and what we have to realize, is sometimes our position should not dictate how we function in our purpose. It should matter not to you whether you get the pat on the back. It should matter not to you whether they call your name, as long as you are doing what you're supposed to do. Keep doing it. And so not only do we find these pots functioning in their purpose because it was a setup, but also we find that while they were functioning in their purpose, there came a problem. This is why you can't come down, because God has you where he needs you to be for a specific purpose. You just don't know everything that you're going to have to do. You know what you're doing right now. You working in ministry. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But there is always something else God has for you to do. There is always something else he wants to use you to do. But if you move from your spot, you won't be there when the problem breaks out. And so when we find our water pots in verse number 6, they're sitting there, but they are sitting there. But in verse number 3, we already had a problem. Verse number 3, Mary comes to Jesus. His mother comes to him and said, "Listen, we at this wedding feast. This is day number 3, Jesus, and they out of wine." Now, note, she does not say, fix us wine. She does not say, baby, you got to, do something, wave your hand, something. The people around here need some wine. But what she does do is like what most African-American mothers do. She presents the task in the form of a general statement. I remember coming up, my mother would never tell me, go wash the dishes. She would simply say, the dishes ain't clean. She wouldn't tell me to go do it, because then she would be telling me to do something that I knew I should have been doing. But she would just simply say, the dishes are not washed. The garbage is still in the house. And so I find myself even talking to Seth that way now. I don't tell him to go do it. I said, man, look at what I see. And I just walk off. And so she does not really tell him to go and to make wine, but she does make him aware of the fact that there is no wine. Now, what we find out about this is that the marriage feast lasted 7 days. So in order for them to run out of wine on the 3rd day, it would have been a long 4 days of a wedding feast. A long 4 days where they could only eat and be merry, not eat, drink, and be merry. And so it would have been embarrassing to the family. And there's some speculation that maybe they was even related to Mary and Jesus, that this may have been a family member. But one thing we do know is if they had run out of wine on the 3rd day, it was going to be a long, embarrassing feast for the next 4 days. And so she goes to Jesus and she tells Jesus, baby, they out of wine. And I want to tell somebody today that while you are functioning in your purpose, unbeknownst to you, somebody is calling out to God for an answer that he needs to use you to give to them. And so this is why you can't walk away from your spot. There are people that are crying out to him and you have no knowledge of it because you just doing what you do. You don't know that God is going to use you to be a blessing to them. But if you move, if you don't hold your spot, you won't be there. And I need to tell you that God uses in his miracles what's already there. When Jesus fed the 5,000, he used the 2 fish and the 5 loaves that was already there. He didn't create it. He didn't go abracadabra and it appeared. They went out and there was a little boy who had it to give. And so we have to understand that we cannot step down because there's come a time where there's a problem, and what's needed in the problem is what you have to give. And so he says when God called Moses, he called him from a bush. He didn't put the bush there. The bush was already there. He gave Moses and Aaron a rod. He didn't create the rod. The rod was already there. And so we have to understand that God uses what's there. But if we are not there when it's time for him to use us, then what we need to do won't get done. And so first of all, I need to tell you, it's a setup. You got to hold your spot because it's a setup. I know you're functioning in what you're supposed to do, but maybe you don't get the credit that you feel like you need to give, but you can't come down because there's a problem that only you going to be able to fix. But God is going to use you to fix. And so, first of all, he says, the water pots show me a setup. They're functioning, and then there's a problem, but they also show me the fill up. In verse number 6, he says that these water pots had 2 or 3 firkins apiece. And this is where it gets sticky and when we working in ministry, because when we begin to look at it, it says that there were only 2 to 3 in the pot, right? And so what we have here is that means that there were only like 22 gallons of water in each pot. But each pot had the capacity to hold 30 gallons. So what we find was that there was a reduction in the water that was in the water pot. What am I saying? I'm saying that when you are working in ministry, it comes at a cost. There will be times when you're working at ministry and you will become spiritually depleted. You will not be functioning at your full capacity. And watch this. Now, we said that the people would come to the water pots and they would use them. Now, watch this. I know that we're not water pots, but watch this. Isn't it funny how people will always come to you in their time of need, no matter how strong or how weak you are at that moment? Isn't it funny how people will tap your gift, your time, your talent, and your 10th? Isn't it funny how no matter what goes on in their life, they always can find you? You're always available. But in the midst of you working in ministry, there are times where when you are constantly pouring out, it causes there to be a reduction in you. You are giving so much that you don't realize that you're giving and nothing is coming back. And so you are giving, and where you were full, you are now becoming less and less and less. And so folk will come and they will always make withdrawals from you, but they won't make deposits in you. And so that's where we find these water pots. These water pots, they're fulfilling their purpose, but I'm trying to tell you that these water pots are not at full strength. They're not at full strength. People are coming there and they're washing their hands and and when they're doing this, because this was a ceremonial thing. This was a ceremonial thing. Watch this. People will come to you. They will come to you and they will come with their problems, and they don't care what level of strength you're at. They just want you to be there for them. And that's what these water pots were doing. They was just there for the people. They're just there for the people. No matter who came in that house, them water pots were sitting there waiting to be used. It did not matter to them what the water pots needed. It did not matter to the people what the water pots needed, but the water pot was always there for the people. And so watch this. People will come to you over and over and go back to the same thing that they came out of on the last time. And so what depletes you is when people constantly make withdrawals from you, but they never change. They come to you one month with a problem, and you pray with them, and you help them meet the need that month, and then here they come right back the next month with the same problem. And this is what the problem Jesus had with the Jews. They were big on ritual, but they wasn't big on renewal. And so what begins to happen is you start finding that people who are big on ritual but not on renewal will keep coming making withdrawals from you but never make deposits into you, and you become less and less, and they still won't change. And I got to tell you, that's tiring. It's tiring. It's tiring when you keep bailing people out of situations and then they come back to you in the same situation. This month you got to pray the same prayer you prayed with them last month. 2 months down the line, you got to pray the same prayer you prayed the last 2 months with them. And so it's frustrating to have people come and they wash their hands in your gift. And they come and they wash their dishes in your gift. And they come and they wash their feet in your gift, but they never change. They never change. They come, they wash their hands, they tell you what happened. They don't feel guilty no more because they done put it on you. Yeah, they come and they use your gift to make them feel better, to nourish them, but it is only for the moment. They come and they wash their feet, they dump their history, tell you everything that they done, and so now they can go on about their life because it don't bother them no more because they told you. But I need to tell you, even if that's you, you got to hold your spot. You still can't move because God has something greater for you to do. He has something greater for you because not only do we see the reduction because there were now 22 gallons of water as opposed to 30 gallons of water in the pot. It says God will give you a refill. That's what he says. Watch what he says in verse number 7. It says, he said unto them, fill the water pots with water, and they filled them to the brim. So now back to what I was telling about the 2 or 3 firkins. The 2 or 3 firkins actually represents a firkin equals 7.5 gallons of water or liquid. So if they were short 2 to 3 firkins, that is equivalent to about 8 gallons of water. And so watch this. 8. When we look at the number 8, 8 is the number of beginning, of a new beginning. It is the number of a rebirth. And isn't it good to know that God knows how low to let you get before he sends you a refill? Isn't it good to know that he knows exactly when you needed a refill? As soon as the gallons got to 8, he told him, he says, fill them up with water. And in order to fill you, I told you he uses people. And so what he does is he does not magically fill them up. He tells the servants whom his mother told to do what he said. He says, I'm telling y'all, go fill the water pots to the brim. Now, I'm going to share this with you. God will send people to power you when there is a lack. He'll send, he uses people to pour into you when there is a lack. And when these water pots got down to 22 gallons of water, there was a lack. There was a lack. And he says, if I'm going to use these water pots in this miracle, because that's what's there, he says, I need them at full strength. And so what he does is he says, I need you to fill them to the brim. Now I want to testify. There was a moment in my life where I was working in ministry and I was doing things personally, and I got to be honest, I just got tired. My water got low. My water got low, and I told myself, I said, you know what? You need a break. You need to sit down. You need to break. You need to quit, and that's that. I told myself, I said, after this time, you teach this lesson, and then you take a little sabbatical. And on the Sunday I decided to take this sabbatical, somebody walked up to me, and they put a card in my hand. I didn't read the card then. I taught my lesson. I believe I might have been worship leader that Sunday. I got home that night, that evening, I was going through my bag, and I remembered the card. I opened up the card, and when I opened up the card, I pulled it out, and as I was pulling it out, a little gift card fell out, and the gift card is always nice. I just thought I'd let y'all know. But the gift card, yeah, a gift card is always nice, but it wasn't the gift card that really ministered to me. It was the words in the card. The card said, Jesus loves me, this I know, for you teach me so. And in the moment, I knew I couldn't quit. In the moment, I knew I just couldn't quit. I had to find a way. I had to find a way to keep going. And so it's great to know that God knows how to recharge you. He knows how to send people with jumper cables to give you the boost you need to refill your battery. And I want to tell somebody who is thinking about quitting, you might have even told yourself you're going to quit, you're not doing it no more. Stay in there. Somebody's coming to refill you. Somebody is coming to refill you. But last but not least, I want to show you the show up. We talked about the fill up. We talked about the set up. Now let's talk about the show up. Pot said, he said, listen, Jesus says to the servants, he says, after he told them to fill the water pots, they fill them to the brim. He says, draw it out now and give it to the governor of the feast. When he gave it to the governor of the feast began to drink it. And when the governor of the feast began to drink it, he called for the bridegroom. When he called for the bridegroom, he said, man, you think you slick. He said, now normally, I'd have been to a few of these. Now normally what they do is they give out the good stuff, and then once everybody get a little tipsy, they give out the bad stuff. He said, you done changed the game, man. He said, you gave out some good stuff, and then you brought out some better stuff. But watch this. This is what the governor didn't know. The governor didn't know what Jesus did to the water. The governor didn't know that the water came from the same water pots that he had washed his feet in, that he had washed his hands in, that he had washed his dishes in. And so what I found out first here in the show up is that sometimes the wrong man will get the right credit. He gave the man credit, but it wasn't the right man. And I know it wasn't the right man, and he wasn't going to give it to the right man because he didn't know what happened. But the text says that there were servants who drew the water new. And so I'm going to deal with that in a minute, but watch this. There are some times where the recipient of the miracle won't even benefit the most from it. The recipient of the miracle won't even benefit from it. The man only knew the miracle. He never knew the miracle worker. That's why he gave the wrong man the right credit, because he didn't know that it was Jesus who had been working with the wine, who had told him to refill and to draw it out, and now the water was wine. And I want to tell somebody today that God has refilled you, and you've been drawn out, and you ought to thank God right now because when he refilled you, you were bitter and you were angry, but what was in you didn't come out of you when they drew out. When they refilled whatever was in the pot, and trust me, I know if you ever watched the dish, you know there is always something in the water from the stuff that went in. And so I'm trying to tell you that you ought to be thankful today that when they tasted the wine, when they tasted your wine, that it didn't come out bitter, but it came out sweet. You ought to be thanking God that he worked through you, even in your state, even in your condition. But watch this. Not only did the wrong man get the right credit, but you don't ever have to worry about the wrong man getting the right credit, because God always leaves a witness to his work. That's what he said right here. He said, but the servants which drew the water knew. But watch where this section is. When you read that in verse number 9, they put that in parentheses. And so what it tells me is that this is a select group. There's only a select group who know how miracles happen. There is only a select group who performs and works the miracles. And I thank God today, and I wonder if there's anybody who ever had an opportunity to know the miracle worker. Not just the miracle, but the miracle worker, because if I know the miracle worker, I got access to the miracle. But if I just get a miracle every once in a while, I won't know who did it. And so he says the people who benefited the most were the people in parentheses, because they knew. They knew the man. They knew the miracle worker. And I thought tonight that I would end just by asking the question, do you know the man? Do you know the man? Do you know the man tonight? The man who is the miracle worker. The man who spoke to the wind and the waves and they behaved. The man who took mud and restored blinded eyes. The man who turned a home going into a homecoming. Who stretched himself out on the cross. Mended a relationship between God and man. Do you know the man? Do you know the man tonight? Because if you know the man, you can hold your spot. If you know the man, you can hold your spot, because you already know he got something else in store for you. It's tough right now, but if you could just get to the refill, all you got to do is hold on to the refill. And God is going to bless you. Listen, I'm coming now to extend an invitation, because before you can get a refill, you got to get a relationship. Before the refill, there's a relationship. And if you don't have that relationship with Christ, you need to do so on tonight. If that's you, I want you to pray this prayer with me from your heart. Lord, I am a sinner. Save me. I believe you are God's son. I believe you are the Christ. I believe you died for my sins. I believe God raised you on the third day. Take over my life. Renew me. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. If that was you, welcome to the body of Christ. If you need a church home, you just don't have a church home, or maybe you think this is a place you would like to be. Take out your phone and type join GSJ, JOIN GSJ, all caps, to this number, 55469. And we'll contact you and welcome you into the family. I pray tonight that you were blessed, that you will hold your spot to your refill. Because God is going to do something great through you. You're just in a low point right now. We can get through a low point. If you want to be saved, type save 1256 to 55469. We'll contact you. We'll pray with you. Amen. If you want to be a member here, fine, we'll take you in here. Amen. We'd love to call you family. Amen. Listen, don't forget to give. Don't forget to give. We have multiple ways to give here at Greater St. John through the church's website, www.gsjbchurch.org. You can give that way. There is a link, the Givelify app, or through your Zelle at Greater St. John Church at gsjbchurch.org, that website. Let's make sure we are supporting. This is members, visitors, whatever you do, we appreciate. But this is for the members. We are supporting our church. Amen. Amen. Listen, as we prepare to leave you, We're going to bring back our psalmist for the night, Christina Jones, and she is going to take us out. God bless you.
Lord, I'm available to you. My will I give to you. I'll do what you say do. Use me, Lord, to show someone the way and enable me to say, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. My storage is empty, and I am available to you. My storage is empty, and I am available. I'm available to you. Use me as your servant. Oh, my storage is empty, and I am available. I'm available. I'm available to you. I wanna be used by you wherever you want me to go. My storage is empty. Do that again. My storage is empty. Shake me as I am. My storage is empty. Use me. My storage is empty. Oh, I wanna be used by you. I wanna be used by you. Lord, here I am. Not my will, but your will be done. My storage is empty, and I am available. I'm available. Here I am. My soul said yes. My soul said yes. Oh, my storage is empty. Hey, and I am available. I wanna be used by the master. Me for the master's use. Yeah. Hey, my storage is empty, and I am available to you. Everywhere I go, Father, fill me up till I can't be filled no more. My storage is empty. Fill my cup, Lord. Fill my cup, Lord. Fill my cup, Lord. Hey. Oh, my storage is empty, and I am
Hey, I'm Pastor Ira J. Ackley again,
to you.
and I pray that you were blessed by today's service. I pray you were blessed by the word. And we hope to see you again next Sunday, same time and the same place. Please remember,
We'll take your
Greater
word
St. John Bible Church, we exist
and we'll preach
to
it to
renew
the
the lives
masses
of seekers
for
and
your-
believers alike, strengthening
for your
families,
glory.
transforming
It's for
communities,
you.
and changing the world.